Eastern Airlines is faced with a strike again. Hello, I'm Gwen Sommers.
Good afternoon, I'm Rick Moore. Eastern Airline machinists are saying no to a 32% increase. The 13,000 workers want the hike to be retroactive. The offer was termed final by the airline, but now round-the-clock talks are set to begin Monday in Washington, D.C. Regional Vice President Wally Haber says the machinists want to avoid that walkout endorsed by members today and set to start Thursday at midnight.
There's an extremely high amount of pressure on both the union bargaining committee and the company bargaining meeting to find a peaceful solution to this. Eastern's entering its highest period of load factor during the Easter week, which is coming up soon, and it would be very costly to the company to suffer a strike at this time, and certainly the employees don't want a strike. We want a peaceful solution. We've been dealing with Eastern since 1941, and we've always been managed to be able to find a peaceful solution.
Canadian Kathy Evelyn Smith is behind bars today in Toronto, Ontario, after turning herself in last night to police. Officials in Los Angeles want Smith to answer to charges she killed comedian John Belushi. CNN's Ed Garston reports.
This is not the first time Kathy Evelyn Smith has been in police custody. Smith was the last person to see John Belushi alive in his Hollywood bungalow, and shortly after his death from a drug overdose, she was arrested by Los Angeles police. Following her release, Smith told the National Enquirer that she had given Belushi a speedball, a combination of heroin and cocaine. According to the indictment made public in Los Angeles Friday, Smith had been supplying drugs to Belushi habitually.
This indictment charges the 35-year-old Miss Smith with 13 separate acts of administering the drugs to Mr. Belushi from March 1st, 1982 through the morning of March 5th, 1982, the day that Mr. Belushi was found dead at the Chateau Marmont Hotel in Hollywood.
Los Angeles DA Robert Philip-Bojan says that in addition to the 13 drug charges, Smith also faces a murder charge.
Under the felony murder rule in California, if a person commits an inherently dangerous felony, such as furnishing or administering cocaine or heroin, which causes a death, that person is guilty of second-degree murder.
Smith, a Canadian citizen, surrendered to police in Toronto Friday. The Justice Department has asked the Canadian government to extradite Smith so she can stand trial. But according to Toronto newspaper reports, Smith's lawyer says she'll fight extradition. If that happens, then a Canadian court would have to look at the evidence collected by the Los Angeles jury and decide if there's sufficient reason to send Kathy Evelyn Smith back to California to stand trial. Ed Garston, CNN.
United Auto Workers in Chicago have rejected a landmark proposal from Ford. It would have provided lifetime security, but the local claims it gave the company too much control. Ford says the issue was not job security, and it will try the experimental Japanese-style proposal again.
There's a cold, drizzling rain today in Pittsburgh, but that didn't stop more than 5,000 people from lining up to apply for 170 temporary jobs. The city is offering 6-month cleaning jobs, jobs created by unexpected profits from the sale of a skyscraper. The first person in line, a laid-off roofer, says it doesn't matter what the job is, he needs the work.
President Reagan says the Democratic budget plan will only increase taxes and decrease the nation's security. The president again blasted the proposal passed Thursday in the House during his national radio address today. Congressman Richard Gephardt of Missouri responded. First, Mr. Reagan.
Right now, House liberals are pushing a budget, the so-called liberal Democratic budget, that if implemented would reverse the progress we've made and wreck our program to rebuild the economy. They want to throw out the window much of the domestic budget savings we've achieved over the last 2 years, and they would go much further, seeking $181 billion in higher domestic spending over the next 5 years, excesses that would send the budget, prices, and interest rates soaring out of control and our economy into a tailspin.
Last year, the president's budget was rejected by members of his own party. We hope he doesn't repeat his past mistakes by continuing to promote a budget that's long on rhetoric but short on reality. The Democratic budget will provide both growth and fairness. After 2 years of wandering in the economic wilderness, few Americans could ask for anything more, and fewer still will settle for anything less.
A mysterious train is slowly winding through the western states today. Members of the anti-nuclear group Ground Zero claim the train is carrying about 100 hydrogen bombs designated for a U.S. nuclear submarine base. Protesters plan vigils along the track. So far, several people have been arrested for blocking the tracks.
This is CNN Headline News.
Jordan's King Hussein says he'll meet with PLO leader Yasser Arafat as early as next week. The meeting could provide substantial movement on Mideast peace talks. Hussein, who met with British officials in London yesterday, stays to meet with U.S. envoy Philip Habib later today. Former President Jimmy Carter has told Lebanon he sees no reason for a delay of the Israeli withdrawal. While touring Beirut yesterday, Mr. Carter gave American Marines a pep talk, and he said he hoped reported U.S. pressure against Israeli intimidation of the Marines would be effective in the future.
Well, I regret any violation of the agreement that would protect the peacekeeping forces from harassment from any source, and this would certainly include Israel, Palestinians, or Iranian visitors here, or anyone else. I certainly deplore this and hope that this report concerning the Israelis will have immediate results and prevent further occurrences of this kind in the future.
The mayoral race in Chicago is heating up. The latest development is an endorsement for Democratic candidate Congressman Harold Washington from the independent voters of Illinois. Don Harris reports.
The unanimous endorsement put Washington in a good mood, and he reacted calmly when he was asked if he was concerned Bernie Upton would hammer away at Washington's income tax conviction.
I expect he will, and although one doesn't relish that sort of thing, he has every right to do so. Resorting to name-calling, I think, is dangerous. I won't do that, even indirectly. It reminds me of the old song about Harry Truman. People say, Harry, give them hell. And Harry would say, I don't give people hell. I just describe them, and they think they're in hell. I will describe Mr. Upton as we proceed, but I won't call him any names.
But Upton did give Washington hell during a speech at the Polish National Alliance headquarters.
He was indicted for 4 years. He would have you believe that for 4 years he filed his return. Well, let me clear that part of the record. He didn't file for 19 years. The statute of limitations ran on the other 15, so they only indicted him for 4. And believe me, the government would have liked to have done it for more, but the judge felt kindly towards this poor minority, this poor gentleman who was so busy, none of us know doing exactly what.
It was no mistake when Upton took the gloves off here at the Polish National Alliance. There are 750,000 Polish Americans living in Chicago, and most of them live on the northwest and southwest sides, where Upton must get his strength if he is to pull an upset on April 12th. For WGN News, this is Don Harris.
You're in tune with the world.